When people think of India, a few things usually come to mind. Incredible food, a cricketing powerhouse, which actually hurts me to say, and whatever chaotic clip has just blown up on social media. But here's the thing, India isn't just influencing culture anymore, it's quietly taking over the world. India is a nation of nearly 1.5 billion people, and for a long time, its film industry felt like something that's happening just over there. Local, regional, niche. But that's changing, and it's changing fast. And if you've actually been paying attention to global cinema, streaming platforms, and pop culture trends, India's rise doesn't look subtle at all. Over the last decade, we've seen non-Western entertainment explode globally, with South Korea being the obvious example, and how a single show like Squid Game didn't just succeed, but it actually dominated worldwide conversation, proving audiences would embrace subtitles, cultural specificity, and unfamiliar storytelling if the content was actually good enough. China, meanwhile, thanks to Najar 2, the animated kids film, actually had the highest grossing film of 2025, reinforcing that Hollywood no longer owns the global box office. So the question isn't if another country breaks through, but it's who's next, and all signs are pointing to India. Now here's a stat that actually surprises a lot of people, how India produces more feature films annually than any other country on earth, and often over 1,500 films a year. So that's more than the US, more than China, and more than the whole of Europe combined on average. When most people say Indian cinema, they usually mean Bollywood, but that's only one piece of the puzzle. Unlike most places, India has multiple major film industries, with Bollywood, Tollywood, Kollywood, Mollywood, and even Dollywood, and each has its own stars, genres, styles, and audiences. That kind of diversity should look like a massive strength, but it's actually what's slowed international branding, because it's not 1.5 billion people that are all consuming the same movies. For many Western audiences, like myself, the gateway drug to Indian film was RRR. An unapologetically epic, physics-optional, emotionally sincere action film that didn't care if it looked Hollywood enough. And that confidence actually mattered. RRR didn't succeed because it was Western-friendly, it succeeded because it was actually authentically Indian, and that's opened the door. Streaming platforms, especially Netflix, have massively accelerated India's global reach. Netflix has dramatically increased Indian originals, licensed regional Indian films globally, and reportedly paid record-breaking amounts for high-profile Indian projects like the upcoming Dragon. And for the first time, Indian films aren't sitting around waiting for international distributors, they're actually launching day one worldwide, and that's a massive game changer. Another factor that usually people underestimate is migration. Indian migration has increased across Australia, the US, the UK, Canada, Europe, and more Indian communities mean more Indian films screened in mainstream cinemas, higher box office returns overseas, and more cultural crossover, so it's not just niche programming anymore, it's a commercial reality. Now, Indian influence in Hollywood isn't anything new. Actors, directors, and creatives of Indian background have been shaping global cinema for decades, often without being labelled as Indian cinema success stories. But what's changing now is visibility. Hollywood is no longer the destination, it's just another market. Now let's talk about the rumour that could literally break the internet. There's been whispers coming out of India that VIRAT KOHLI, as approaches the end of his massive cricket career, could actually headline a major action film. To put this into perspective for non-Indian and cricket audiences, this isn't similar to Travis Kelce rocking up for Happy Gilmore 2. This is actually closer to Jesus himself returning to star in a remake of The Godfather. King Kohli, as he's known, he's got the looks, he's got the physical conditioning, he's got years of media training, his brand power is beyond sport and beyond this universe, and the emotional backing of a nation of 1.5 billion that literally treats him like royalty. If this actually happens and goes forward, it could literally break the internet and break box office records worldwide and permanently shift how global cinema works. But despite all this, many global viewers still say the same thing. I've only seen the odd Indian action film or something huge like RRR, and that's because India's biggest hurdle isn't quality, but cohesion. Different regions, different languages, different cultural tastes. It's not just one voice, except again, when it comes to VIRAT KOHLI. So India's already a cultural powerhouse, a streaming giant, a box office force, a global audience unto itself. So what we're witnessing now isn't exactly a sudden rise, but it's the world's finally catching up. Food, cricket, cinema. India isn't knocking on the door anymore, it's actually inside, and the next decade of film might look very, very different because of it.